Boom. So the purpose of today's call is to crush the Trainmore for next week. How to have a monster Trainmore. Next week is the first Trainmore of the year. It's January 3rd on Monday, and there's going to be people making things happen. You're going to be seeing numbers by the company. There's going to be people writing Eagles on Monday. There's going to be people writing 10, 15,000 on Monday. Yeah, you'll get the report on Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. and you're like, oh my gosh. Well, guys, that can be you. But it starts today. It starts with their mindset today. So we're going to cover first, and this is probably something that you want to take some notes on. If you want to guarantee yourself a bad Trainmore, here are 10 things that you can do. If you want to have a bad Trainmore this next week, these are 10 things that have a bad Trainmore. Okay? So number one way to guarantee yourself a bad Trainmore for next week is to blame your territory. That's number one. Blame your territory. Successful people in our business, it's always about their turf. You know, even though we have people in Colorado, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, all over the entire United States that do this, it's only about their turf. You know, we can see people being successful anywhere in the entire country except for our territory. It's all about getting that lucky territory. So that's number one, to guarantee yourself a bad week next week. Number two, to guarantee yourself a bad Trainmore next week is choosing to be a victim. Choose to be a victim. Of course, the world owes me everything. It's okay to be entitled. Everything's going to fall into my lap. I can be anything whenever when I grow up. I can be anything when I grow up. Nobody cares about how challenges are okay and pushing yourself. That's not okay. I choose to be a victim in all my circumstances. I'm not circumstance proof. I point the finger instead of owning up to my mistakes. That was number two, choosing to be a victim. Let's go to number three. To guarantee yourself a bad Trainmore next week is I will only use part of this sales talk that I like. I will only use part of the sales talk that I like. If it doesn't match what I'm feeling for that day, I'm going to throw it out the window. I'm going to make stuff up because people buy from people who make stuff up. So I'm going to brush over the buying atmosphere, see how that works. Hey, if you like it, great. If not, I'll just show it to you. That's my buying atmosphere. See how that works. Okay. So only using parts of the sales talk that you like. That's number three on guaranteeing yourself a bad Trainmore for next week. Okay, let's go to number four. Number four way to guarantee yourself a bad Trainmore for next week is skipping around in your territory. Skipping around in your territory. Of course, you can just tell by looking at the outside of a business whether they're going to buy or not. You know which businesses you're going to buy. So why would you ever work systematically and just go to the next business on the right? I'm not going to do that. I want to get that weird feeling in my stomach where I know where I got to go and get things because I can tell who's going to buy and who's not going to buy. Businesses buy, not people. Okay. I don't want to be a true professional and see everybody in my community and do a true service. I just want to skip around and go to whatever I'm feeling for that day. I already know who's cool, who's open-minded, just by looking on the outside of a business. So that's number four on guaranteeing yourself a bad Trainmore for next week. Let's go to number five. Number five, I'm going to take lots of breaks. Taking multiple breaks. And while you're doing a break, go ahead and pull out good old Facebook, Instagram. I'm sure that quick little glance won't turn into 10 to 15 minutes of negativity and just throw you off the momentum that you have. Taking lots of breaks, because we all know the hardest part of our job is just getting started. So let's just make it as hard as possible on ourselves and just constantly starting every few hours during the day. Number six, to guarantee yourself a bad Trainmore next week is I'm going to waste time with people that aren't with you. Wasting time with people that aren't with you. I'm going to make sure I prove a point with them. I'm going to make sure I have to prove a point with them. I'm going to have the last word. You always feel good when you win an argument. That way, you may have won the battle, but you lose the war. You lose the war with your energy, wasting time and energy with non-buyers. That's number 6 on how to guarantee yourself a bad Trainmore next week. Number 7, as soon as you feel like it's time to quit, do it. No athlete, role model, artist, actor ever pushed through when they felt like quitting. Successful people, everything just fell into their lap. That's how they were successful. They just quit when they want to. That's the mentality to have if you want to have a bad Trainmore next week. Okay? When you feel like quitting, do it. Number 8, to guarantee yourself a bad Trainmore next week. Number 8, I am not going to use 2 claims minimum in every presentation. I'm not going to use claims in every presentation. People only care about benefits and numbers, spitting facts at them. That's all people care about. And while you're at that, I'm going to be really monotone the entire presentation. My voice inflection will stay the same the entire time I talk. That's what's going to get Mrs. Jones to buy. Not reading claims and being very monotone. That's number 8 to have a bad Trainmore next week. Let's go to number 9. Number 9 to have a bad Trainmore is I'm just going to, make excuses that I'm bad with names. Oh, I'm not very good with names, so I'm not going to use them. They don't matter. Using names doesn't matter to connect with people, to get people to build trust and like you faster. Just building rapport in a very quick, building names doesn't matter. I'm bad with names. I'm not going to use them. And when somebody gives me their name, I'm not going to repeat it back to them. So whenever I ask them questions, what did you like the best about this? Instead of saying, Hannah, what did you like the best about this so far? I'm just going to forget their name, not write it down, and not use that name at the next business. So whenever I go B2B, I'm just going to be consistently cold calling all day and not use anybody's name, because that's a better method than using people's names. So that's number 9. To guarantee yourself a bad Trainmore is just making the excuse that you're bad with names and not correcting it. Number 10, the last way to have a bad Trainmore next week is not trying any of the things that we talk about to hit your goals. Some of the weird stuff, and some of the stuff is visualizing each night your day, writing out 25 businesses the night before. That's what weird people do. I don't need to do that. I'm too good for that. That's way out of left field. I don't need to use the sales talk. I'm way too talented to use the sales talk. That's what the crazy people do. I don't need to meditate. They're really trying to push us with that one, meditating. I'd rather my mind go 1,000 words per minute. I don't want to have clarity during the day. I don't want to try any of this weird stuff. Reading Eagles, reading claims in the morning, that's not for me. I don't want to listen to audios during my car. All those weird things they teach us, I'm not going to do. Well, that's number 10, and that's number 10 on how to guarantee yourself a very bad Trainmore next week. So, gang, I hope you can connect the dots here on what to do to have a bad week. So I'm gonna kind of reverse psychology now, and I'm gonna cover the 10 things to make sure that you have a great week next week. Okay, to make sure that you have a massive Trainmore next week, these are 10 positive things that you can do to make sure you have a great Trainmore. Number 1 is knowing that your territory is between your ears. You got to understand you make everywhere great by your attitude and leaving everybody in a great mood that you meet. So if you think it's your territory that's not great, it's you that's not great. Every area has great people. Every area is going to have some rude people. But all it takes is one person or one business to make it great. That's it. Okay, your territory is between your ears. That's number 1. Number 2, to make sure you crush the Trainmore next week, is choosing to focus on solutions and not problems. Choosing to focus on solutions and not problems. Things happen in life. They always do. But we get to choose how we respond to it, and we can choose to be a victim, or we can choose to be solution-oriented. Crucial. Number 3, use the sales talk because it works. Use the sales talk because it works. Guys, that's the reason why we have people that come in right out of sales school that write Eagles their very first week pretty consistently. Several people on this call have written an Eagle in their very first full week here that have never been in the insurance business, never even been in sales ever before this. It's because the sales talk works. It was working way before we started here, way before you started here. And guess what? It's going to be working for several tens and thousands of people after you leave. Okay? But sometimes we get off track and we get too cute and we forget all the small things that you know, the successful people do. So writing out your sales talk one section at a time until you master it. That's crucial. Knowing your sales talk. Number 4, to help make sure that you have a great week next week, is knowing that working your territory type. The next prospect is the best prospect. When you focus on buyers and the types of businesses to go into, that's a terrible spot to be in. That's a very yucky spot to be in. Oh my gosh. That is, wow, that's horrible. But when you focus on protecting people and just having a service mindset, you don't know which business you're going to go into that you're going to completely protect them and just change their life and then get referred to their other employees or other businesses right next door. You don't know who's going to buy, who's not going to buy, right? You don't know who you walk into a business and their dad may have just been diagnosed with cancer, or their dad may have just had a heart attack or stroke. You don't know who that is. But it's your job to go to the next prospect is the best prospect, because people buy, businesses don't buy. The people inside the businesses that do buy. Okay, all it takes is one business, one person to make your week. Number 5 is don't take breaks. Don't take breaks throughout the day. Obviously, if you got a 10-minute lunch break, that's okay. That's understandable. You got to eat, But you need to clear your schedule and take as few breaks as possible, because the hardest part of our career is honestly just getting started. So we need to keep going, because you can't say the wrong thing to the right person and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. So we're just looking for aces. We're just looking for fun, open-minded people during the day. And that kind of leads into number 6, how to make sure that you have a great Trainmore next week. Number 6 is don't waste your time for non-buyers. Don't waste your time for non-buyers. Make sure you stick to the 5-minute rule. Don't waste time talking, don't let 5 minutes go by without talking to somebody. You can be at a gas station, in a parking lot outside of a business, whatever you have to do. You just have to make sure that you communicate with somebody at least every 5 minutes. And we're just looking for people who are nodding their head and they just get what we do. They're the easy ones. That's what Trainmores are for. Okay. Number 7, as soon as you feel like quitting for the day or hanging it up for the day, just do one more. One more mentality. Think about the professional athletes. That one last rep. The actors, that one last role play before they get on set. The musicians, one last rehearsal. Have that mentality. You're a true professional. Yes, I want to be done right now. It's 6:30. I'm going to do one more demo. One more. You got to do it for every part of your life, not just in our business, but especially outside. I'm going to run one more mile. One more set. Whatever it is, do one more, and your life is going to get exponentially better in every asset, not just business, but also personal life. Number 7 is use at least 2 claims in every single presentation. Like, guys, 2 claims minimum. I use 3, but use no less than 2 claims minimum in every single presentation. And read the entire claim as if it's the very first time you've ever read it, because it is the very first time they've ever heard it. I have read Sarah Blaylock and Gordon Daniels probably 15,000 times. It doesn't matter. I read it with emphasis and with passion, and I bring it to life. I bring the presentation to life. That is your job. So don't put pressure on yourself. Put it on the system, because human beings, guys, we are a creature of stories. People love stories. It connects the dots, and it helps people trust you more. Number 9, use and connect with 3-dimensional names. If you want to have a great Trainmore next week, if you want to learn, if you want to be the person that writes an eagle by Tuesday or write 20K or whatever it is next week, you have to be good with not just using names, but using 3-dimensional names. There's a big difference of name dropping and using a 3D name. Telling stories about the names and bringing the names to life is much different than saying, I will just talking to Stephanie next door, talking to Mary down the street. That doesn't do anything for them. Using 3D names, bringing it to life, and telling stories about them. And you got to know this. It doesn't come natural for everybody to be good at that. Okay? That is a skill that when I first started here, I wasn't good at it. I had to aggressively learn that skill, write down what I would say and how to be a very good name dropper, and how to be a good creature of stories, and how to effectively talk about stories in a very professional way. I had to work on that for a long time. It takes a while to get good at anything in life. And you must write your stories out. When you get very good cancer stories or accident stories or heart stories, I can go to an area and within 2 days have very juicy stories to use forever, because I write the stories out on my iPad. I write out the stories, and I memorize them, and I use them. And if you've been here longer than 2 days, you should too. But you got to write these stories out and get it ingrained in your DNA. So when you meet somebody whose wife was in the ICU for 3 months from pneumonia a couple years ago, you write that story down and you use it. Or a cancer story, whatever it was, right? And it helps you connect with people. It helps you connect with the next business. 3D names, not just saying their name, but bringing it to life. And knowing people will connect the dots in this business a lot faster. And if you want to get to the next level, remember where people went to high school. Where'd you go to high school? Oh my gosh, you went to Forest View, so you probably know so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. You went to South Point High School in Gastonia? Oh my gosh, you probably know I got 7 customers from there. That's when you take it to the next level, and then everybody buys. If you really want to get to the next level, that's going to take a lot of that. That's going to take some sacrifice. You're going to have to start asking those questions. Are you from the area? What high school? All these questions are in sales talk, not just learning this stuff, but actually writing it down when you leave. We got sales rabbit guys that can keep track of all this information, put it down in your sales rabbit, and that does take time. But making sure you take the time at night to look those notes over, so you can get the notes ingrained in your mind and get those names ingrained, especially when you sign up a business owner. Holy smokes. When you sign up a business owner, somebody who owns a business that's been there for a long time, you got to use that name like wildfire for the next few days, for the rest of the week, because people may not know that person, but they're going to know that business, right? And then using names of the businesses and the people, it is huge. It's how you get momentum going really quick, and how you set up enrollments right there on the spot is with names. Okay, 3D names. Okay, so that is huge. I'm very big with that. Number 10, the last one to make sure you have a great Trainmore next week is get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Get comfortable with the uncomfortable. What that means is I can just be saying, you know what, this week I'm going to do all these things that they tell me that I should do, that we learned on the Back to Basics checklist yesterday. I'm going to do self-talk every single day. I'm going to talk positive out loud in my car. Yes, that kind of may sound weird at first, but I'm going to do it because I'm going to be coachable. I'm going to do it. It's impossible to think negative while I'm saying something positive. I'm going to meditate each morning for 5 minutes, right? I'm going to do it. I know Kyle said that 100 times. I need to start doing that to give myself mental clarity during the day. I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to be more engaged with my prospects, be more putting pressure on the system. I'm going to write out 25 businesses every single night for my next day. That way I have an abundance mentality, not a scarcity mentality. I'm going to write out 25 businesses every day. I'm going to do all the small things. I'm going to have a set start and stop time each day that I abide by to the max. I'm going to leave my house before 7 a.m. every single day. Whatever it is, get comfortable with the uncomfortable and really push yourself, especially when it gets hard doing one more. Just next week, just know you're going to do your dead level best. Let God do the rest and leave everybody in a better mood than where you met them. Okay? Because, guys, we do make a difference. The next week is very important. And it doesn't start next week. It starts today, clearing the decks for next week and making sure that we have high activity today and tomorrow. The great thing is everybody's working today and tomorrow. Okay? So high activity on Thursday and Friday gets you in that momentum so you can have a big Monday, Tuesday next week. But if you coast on Thursday and Friday, then you start from scratch on Monday. So where do you want to be on Monday? Do you want to have some stuff going for you? Do you want to have some good momentum? Well, let's run through the finish line this week, today and tomorrow. Let's make things happen. If there's any questions or takeaways, I'll feel free to hear some good takeaways from this call today.